Okay, students. So in order to complete the November 16 classwork, you need to do three things for me. The first involves a radio button list. And so in the radio button list, you're going to have text of 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And each of them, of course, has values of the number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, and number 5. So note that the values have to be numbers, right? Whereas the text are the actual words. And so once you put the radio button list onto the web form, here's what it needs to do. And essentially the code that you need in order to make this work is in the PowerPoints. They should be between weeks 11 and 12. And of course, if you need a little bit of a review in terms of event handling, then you can go back to week 10. All right, so when we click on the radio button list, this is what should happen. Notice that I have a loop here, and what it does is it writes out the text: hard work and focus and coming early pay off big time in the long run, right? And so this is a little bit of an encouragement to you that these three things really do matter. They really do pay off in the long run, right? Click 2, it does it twice. If you click 3, it does it 3 times. And if you click 4, it does it 5 times. All right. So let's look at the code that runs behind this. Yeah. And the code that runs behind this is actually the code that runs behind this is right. Let's go to the radio button list. Right, and so the code that runs behind this, you can see here, it's the event handler for radio button list 2. And as you see here, you have the subroutine name, and as you can see here, it says handles radio button list 2. That's the name of the control on the form itself, and the event is selected index changed, right? And so the control is radio button list 2. The event is when the user clicks on an item clicks on one of the buttons in the list, right? And so the index actually changes. So for example, if 1 was selected and the user then clicked on 3, then you can see that the index has changed, right? It's changed from 1 to 3, right? All right, very good. So that's the event handler. It fires when the user changes the button that is actually selected. Now, as you can see here, what we do is we create a variable called loop count, and what it does is to store the value of the selected value, right? Remember, the selected value is a number, yeah? And so, for example, if you clicked on 3, then the selected value is now 3, is the number 3, right? What we have down here is a loop. It starts with the for, it ends with the next, yeah? And essentially what it's saying is, an internal variable inside of the loop keeps track of the number of times you have executed the loop. And so that internal variable inside the loop says, I'm going to increase myself from 1 up until the number of loops that you want me to execute. So here, for example, if we have 5 as the selected value, then loop count becomes 5. And so what we'll be doing down here is selecting from 1 to 5. We'll be moving the loop index from 1 through to 5. All right. And for each time we do that, it executes this code in between. It executes these two response.writes. Remember that the response.write is a command which writes information onto the web page. And so of course this is how we get our dynamic web page. Yeah. And so it simply writes out two lines. All right. And this is literally just paragraph stuff. And of course we have the HTML break, which creates a new line underneath it. So in the case where loop index is 2, then we're saying for loop in the case where loop count is 2, because we selected 2, we're saying here from loop index equals 1 until it gets to 2. So in other words, it's going to execute it twice. Write out these two lines, and so these two lines get executed twice. All right, jump back here, and we can see that if we click on 2, it executes the loop twice and writes out the lines twice. So we write out this line, we write a break which takes it to the next line, and we write out the first line again. And that's the essence of the loop which runs inside of our event handler. Okay, now I made a slight mistake at the start. In reality, the loop is going to be it's going to be extra credit on the test, but it is required for the classwork, right? It's required for the classwork. It's going to be extra credit on the test, right? Now, it's a good point to mention that I did not give you guys an assignment 3. And so what I will actually be doing is to use the this big ASP.NET program over several classworks. I'm going to use that same grade out of 500 as the assignment grade. So in other words, if you've done this classwork, then you've not only gotten a big classwork grade, but you're also getting an assignment grade, and you're also going to be very prepared for the test, because the test is going to use very similar features, right? All right, thank you guys.